So what if one day your friend just happened to don't be the person you think they was? And that's why they look so old and mature. What it do, baby? It's the one and only ChevReacts back with another bang up. And I know I've been missing a couple of days. School open, you know, university open, online classes open. So bear with me. But hey, got a bang for y'all today. Got a bang. But first and foremost, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Turn on post notifications so never miss a beat. Follow all my social medias, link will be in the description. We'll be looking at the 10 scariest coincidences caught on camera. Well, I know coincidence is rare, not really rare, but like it happened a lot. But to see them come to life, and fall forward in front of you, it's kind of creepy. So that's what we'll be looking at today. So, without further ado, check it.
Bank robber. This one comes from a news broadcast in Minnesota, USA. One day a guy was reporting on a bank heist that happened the day before. That is when all of a sudden someone runs out of the bank behind him. The man is a worker in the bank and he points over to something in the distance. The guy actually says to the news broadcaster, "There's the bad guy right there."
24 hours ago, this bank in North... What? Oh, that's the robber.
Hold on. So they're reporting about the robber, and the robber literally right behind them. That's crazy.
This is live TV, folks. That's the robber, just went by, according to the bank employee. So I gotta go here and call 911. I'll talk to you later.
The newscaster is completely stunned and goes, "Oh, there's the robber." That's right, the guy who robbed this bank returned to the scene the next day. And at the very same time, the news was doing a broadcast about it. That's already a lot of coincidences right there. The bank teller chases after the guy who hops into a van. But thankfully, because of this, police were able to track body in the creek. When something big happens in an area, the news will often interview locals close to the event. That's exactly what happened one day in Camptown, Pennsylvania, USA. The body was found inside a creek by the local police. As this was happening, some reporters were digging around trying to find out what happened. And that's when one journalist came across a man named Matthew Haverly. He lived right next to the creek where the body was found. When the journalist first asks him about the situation, he's very surprised. He also said even though he lives close to the creek, he had no idea what had happened there.
Like, what the hell's going on? And now I realize that's what they were actually doing.
He also says it's sad to think that's someone's daughter, mother, or child.
It's sad to say that that's someone's either daughter, mother, whatever.
Sure he wasn't on no drugs, man? Sure he wasn't on no drugs? Maybe.
Ever both.
But remember that quote. That's because hours later, cops realized that the woman in the creek was in fact Matthew's mother. That makes his comment about the body being someone's mother very, very creepy. Matthew said this was a gigantic coincidence. But the police didn't buy it and were very skeptical. Matthew said when he was giving the interview, he had no idea it was his mom who was in the creek. In the interview, he even...
Hold on. So, his mother body was in the creek and he didn't know who it was because he didn't want to be paying attention and he didn't know what was going on in his own backyard. That's what you're trying to tell me? Okay.
Said the body was probably dumped there by hitmen.
Like a place where people from the city would want to put a body because most likely they wouldn't be found.
He said that's because it would be unlikely a body would be found there. But clearly it was, and police did not buy his explanation of his interview. In fact, they later arrested him after finding that same blue tarp in his shed. They raided his property and took him to court, and this video was even used as evidence in court. In May of 2019, he was sentenced to 14 years for this. But
I tell you something's wrong with him. You couldn't see that? You couldn't see something's wrong with him?
he still says that he was not behind what happened to his mom in the creek. World War I plate. One of the most defining moments in all of human history was World War I. That's because it led to World War II and then the modern world we have today. But everyone knows that the major event which kicked off World War I was the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand. Of course, this took place while he was being driven in a limousine. This was a Graf and Stift limo.
Like, graphics is that. They like, and he ain't getting nowhere.
But there's a strange coincidence when it comes to this car. That is that it predicted an odd and very eerie message. The number plate of the car is A111118, and this could easily be read as Armistice, November 11, 1918. Of course, that was the date of the famous agreement that ended the First World War. The car sat.
So you telling me a car plate have the same symbol as the due date when they end World War One? Okay. Really? You hear that? Oh, okay.
For 2 decades inside a museum in Vienna before this was pointed out by a British tourist. This is an incredibly scary coincidence. And some say it's not a coincidence, and this is all part of some kind of giant plan. Things like this really do make me question and think maybe we are living in a simulation. Suspect search. Sometimes cops want to hunt for criminals, but they don't have a photo of them on file. That's why sometimes they'll get a sketch artist to draw.
Shout out to the police or whoever who can draw people for like descriptions, based off descriptions. Some of the drawings artists come out nice. Honestly, they come out nice. Shout out to them. We gotta give props to them. We gotta give props to them.
Draw the suspect from descriptions. One day, one of these suspects was being reported on the TV program Good Morning America. But towards the end of the show, Robin Roberts,
Hold on. You see the picture?
artist to draw the suspect from descriptions. One day, one of these suspects was being reported on the TV program Good
Look at the picture. And look at the reporter.
Morning America. But towards the end of the show, Robin Roberts noticed something strange. She pointed out that the suspect from a previous story.
Buddy, what you been doing? I got some questions. Ada, you got a twin brother? Oh, that's you, nigga. That's you. That gotta be you. And you covering up. That gotta be you.
Looked a lot like her host, Josh Elliott. The similarities are incredibly creepy, and they really do look alike.
Who was there? Somebody that Yes, in our last story,
Not a chance.
Some say the reporter who originally reported on this story looks a lot like the suspect too. Look around and there's actually various instances of the news reporters reporting on suspects which look exactly like them. Admittedly, this is pretty funny, but if you look at it a different way, it's pretty creepy too. I wonder if a news anchor has ever been a real suspect and reported on themselves. The man in this sketch badly injured a woman after a traffic argument. Lincoln and JFK. When it comes to presidents being assassinated, the United States does not have a good record. In fact, there have been 6 attempts to assassinate the US president while they were sitting, and 4 of the 6 were successful. But
Hold on, there was 6 attempts to assassinate the president of the United States. What happened now? Someone give me an answer. What happened now? Y'all didn't know your job.
the assassinations of both Lincoln and JFK have some pretty creepy coincidences. Did you know that Lincoln had a secretary named Kennedy who told him not to go to the theater? And Kennedy had a secretary named Lincoln who told him not to go to Dallas. Lincoln was shot in the Ford Theater, and Kennedy was shot in a Lincoln made by Ford. They were both taken out on a Friday. Lincoln's assassin, John Wilkes, was known by 3 names comprised of 15 letters. And Lee Harvey Oswald was also known by 3 names comprised of 15 letters. John Wilkes shot Lincoln in a theater and fled to a warehouse. Lee Harvey Oswald shot Kennedy from a warehouse and fled to a theater. Lincoln was elected to Congress in 1846 and JFK in 19...
Yeah, that gotta be a coincidence, because everything what he said, basically, that's crazy. There's no way you could have a system by the name of John F. Kennedy and the next one was Abraham Lincoln. No, and John F. Kennedy have a system named Abraham. And they literally was 100 years apart from each other, basically, with the same term. Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy.
46. Lincoln was elected president in 1860 and JFK 1960. And that's not even all of the coincidences about these 2 presidents. Is this simply a coincidence, or has something been set up here? Robber interview.
Yeah, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you know, turn on post notifications, and now I'm as a beat. Back to the video.
This one comes from a news report in Gwinnett County, Georgia, USA. A reporter's doing a pretty boring story about traffic in the area. That's when she stops and interviews a random passerby. The man seems totally normal and polite and simply talks about the local traffic and then walks off.
They have its own public transportation, so cars coming out here will definitely help out a lot.
But hours later, the news reporter gets a phone call from the police saying they need to talk to her urgently. That's because minutes before he was interviewed, the man in the footage had robbed a bank. A witness actually say they saw the man rob the bank and then afterwards stopped at a news van for an interview. The police used this interview as well as surveillance footage of the guy's license plate to arrest him. The robber, Eric Rivers, was taken into custody and he's now in jail facing 2 counts of robbery.
So telling me, his plan was after you robbed the bank in broad daylight was to go talk to the media. That gotta be the most dumbest thing ever. You can't blend in like that, especially if you get witnesses around you. You can't blend in like that. That don't make no sense.
Hi Dad.
You gotta think, man.
This one comes from a YouTuber named Jennifer Moan. Sadly, she lost her dad. But to remember him, she looks up to the sky and says, "Hi Dad." This is a nice way to pay respects, but obviously it's a one-directional way of communicating. It's not like her dad can communicate back to her. Or can he? One day she looked up at the sky and said, "Hi Dad." That's when all of a sudden a glowing orb appears to come down from the sky. Jennifer's channel is mainly about her family, not about paranormal events. But I think this is a really special and heartwarming event if it really is a message from her father. I'm sure a lot of people look up to the skies and pay respects to those who have passed on in their lives. But do you think this was Jennifer's dad communicating with her? I really like to think so. If so, it really may prove the existence of an afterlife.
But oh, it is an afterlife. Just read the Bible, we find out. Plenty stories tell you it's afterlife. Plenty stories tell you it's evil. Plenty stories tell you it's good. Plenty stories tell you it's a heaven. Plenty stories tell you it's a hell. So, could be a sign. Could be a sign. Could be a sign. To show that he's still watching over. You never know.
Convicts. We all know that when you get arrested and have to go to the police station, you have to give over your fingerprints. But why exactly is this? Surely they can just write down your name and take your picture and they know who you are, right? Well, the reason fingerprints became a thing is because of these 2 guys. These are mugshots of William West and William West. They're not related in any way, but they look incredibly similar. They also have the same name, and were serving their sentences at the same prison at the
No way, no way. You got the same name.
same time. This led to a massive amount of confusion with the prison guards. They kept getting mixed up and
the same name. They looked exactly alike, but don't know each other at all. They end up in the same prison, and that's the reason why they start fingerprints. You should have your identical twin who your parents separate from each other. I don't know. Probably not. I don't know.
And for a long time, they didn't realize they were 2 separate people. So the prison had the idea to simply take their fingerprints so they could tell them apart. Otherwise, they could get confused and lost in the system, or their sentences, which were different, could be mixed up. So it's because of the 2 William Wests that we do fingerprints to this day. These guys were incarcerated in the Leavenworth Penitentiary in Kansas, USA. And this happened all the way back in 1903, before fingerprint forensics even became a thing. Basketball fraud. You likely think you know about everyone in your life. But what if those people have a dark secret? For example, a fake identity? That's what happened to someone in Texas named Rashawn Richardson. Rashawn was the top player in the Hillcrest High School basketball team. He helped his team beat every single other team in Dallas, Texas. He had a legendary reputation all around Texas and was a star student at
I bet you that nigga was probably 24 and looked just like someone else, or fake his age.
athlete. Or at least that was the reputation he had for 9 months. But then one day people found out the reason why he was so much better at basketball than everyone else. Rashawn was playing against another team and was doing amazing as always. But that's when the other team's coach recognized Rashawn. It suddenly dawns on him that years ago he coached Rashawn. This was 7 years ago, meaning Rashawn should no longer be in high school. He immediately
I tell you that. I tell you that. How you get away with that? 7 years ago, you graduate high school and you come back and get on the next team to play high school basketball. You miss basketball in high school that much? Come on, dog. If you was good, you're supposed to be playing college or you're supposed to be in the league. Say, see?
Lee went to the school and told them about what was happening. And it turned out Rashawn Richardson was not even a real person. Instead, he was a man named Sidney Gilstrap Portley. And instead of being a
My name is that. Gilstrap. I ain't even getting that. I ain't even getting it.
17-year-old high school kid, he was 25 years old. He's now facing criminal charges for falsely enrolling in a high school. I'm not sure how he flew under the radar for so long. To make things even more creepy, he had a 14-year-old girlfriend who had no idea of his true age and identity.
No. Dude, you just mess up. Why you just stay basketball and do your little imposter garbage? Stay basketball. You in high school. Out of all the people, you decided to date a 14-year-old girl. You had 17, 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds in high school. And you decided to date a 14, you 25.
And he would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for that meddling coach. He was scheduled to graduate in 2020. This means if he didn't play against his old high school, he likely would have never been discovered and actually graduated. It really makes you doubt everyone you know and their true identities. But now
So what if one day your friend just happened to don't be the person you think they was? And that's why they look so old and mature. What if they literally faking their identity? What if? You never know. Well, I kept it off for today's video. Scary if you went to this corner on camera. Comment down below. What's your favorite one? Like the video. Comment down below. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that red button. Hit that bell button. Turn on post notifications, never speak. I try to get more uploads in this week. Try to get to some more bangers. DM me on all my social medias if you have any suggestions. And yeah, it's crazy. It's playing coincidence out there, man. It's playing coincidence out there. And it's been your boy ChevReacts. Back with another banger. Drum bangers, not hangers about 2020. And until next time, peace.